Lebanon Museum about the year of 2020. There are so many wonderful things to see. I'm sparking with excitement to show you the wonderful exhibits here today. Any questions? Don't be afraid to ask, we don't bite. Fire exits are there, and there, just in case the event of fire, but that's very unlikely because this place is perfect. The toilets can be found over there, so use at your leisure. Now, let's begin with the tour. Here, you will see multiple events that occurred in 2020. All this is going to be fun. Our first stop is going to be a song recorded about an overview of 2020.
Were dry, it only took a spark for the trees to be ablaze in the national park. Smoke suffocating, enveloping their homes. Plants so high they could be seen by drones. Chest high, heart thumping, the animals tried to hide in underground burrows. They ran for their lives. Memories destroyed, ashes everywhere. Koalas facing extinction, the world in despair. Turbulent times, we need to change. Moving forward, we can't start the year again. Time to take a stand and help our family and friends. This is the start of something new. People infected, some gravely ill. It feels so weird not seeing family. The shops are all shut, some permanently. Children cut short, no exams. Proms all cancelled, ruining plans. Search of a vaccine, scientists agree. Until then the world will be in uncertainty. The turbulent times we need to change. Moving forward, we can't start the year again. Time to take a stand, help our family and friends. This is the start of something new and not the end. Let's all stand together in unity. We can make a change collectively. Time to stand up for our beliefs. It's time to take our fight to the streets. The people marched for equality, sick of the hangover of slavery, drew worldwide attention to their fight. They marched to protect people's human rights. Too many deaths in police custody, too much racism on our streets. We long for change, for every life to be equal. We hope this will bring change and not a sequel. Turbulent times, we need to change. Moving forward, we can't start the year again. Time to take a stand, help our family and friends. This is the start of something new and not the end.
Now we will go on to the coronavirus pandemic, the famous Rona. People would vanish to their homes because it was all solved. People had to work from home. They could no longer hug their friends and family for weeks.
Because of the coronavirus pandemic, people were expected to work from home, and this is my journey to tell you how it changed. At the start of 2020, when there was no pandemic up until about March, there was travelling to work every morning, creating pollution. People were being rushed in the morning, having to pay for dinner and having a set dinner working time. Using money to get there, use fuel, or if you had to get the bus, train or something. You had to work in cramped offices with people surrounding you and you to do as the manager says. Whereas after, when the coronavirus pandemic was still going, there was no travelling to work, creating less pollution into the air. There was working from home, so not in a cramped place with lots of people. You don't have to get your dinner at a certain time, so you could choose whatever time you wanted. You were less rushed. You could have a break when you felt like it, as long as the work gets done. So, in 2070, there are lots more Zoom meetings happening. Due to the lack of travel to offices, pollution levels have lowered. If you visit the museum, you will see examples of computer systems, photos and work uniforms that people wore in offices.
Scream and shout and punch my screen. Out on the streets doing a kicking up a protest. I marched to the stadium and I would scream. You played for a night in front of a band. I'd go outside and bang my head on the wall. See my friends, no sleepover. The film, one of these films are the best at night. They help me sleep, why there'll be a fight. If they were banned, I'd never sleep. Sonic the Head, Tricky the Head, Sonic the Head, Tricky the best film ever, not to mess with Sonic ever again with supersonic speed. Chicken licking in my tasty treat. Then somebody say, just eat. I'm full of breakfast and a chippy tea. Don't mind my favourite food thing forever, Louise. Chocolate Harry Potter and Harry Potter too. Chocolate macadamia by making this drink green juice.
Are you fed up with school?
Yes!
Are you feeling pressures to day-to-day life?
Yes!
Do you have no appreciation for family and friends? Well, come to Lockdown Cottage where you can spend 6 weeks of your own company doing absolutely nothing. Indulge yourself in total self-isolation, set in a luxury of your own imagination. You choose the destination, an enchanted forest, a secluded beach-fronted island, a world-class ski resort. The choice is really yours. When you come down to Lockdown Cottage, be sure to bring your luggage. If you want to forget school and college, come down to Lockdown Cottage. Visit www.lockdowncottage.com to inquire your stay.
Lockdown Industries reserve the right to cancel and extend your booking. We know by a warning. We take no responsibilities for any mishaps, long-term physical impacts or illnesses. Please read all small print in our terms and conditions.
How wonderful is it that the government put England into lockdown before the rises got too high? No group of businesses was put at risk. It was all over in a flash. The next sister bit is Black Lives Matter. After the death of George Floyd, protesters broke out all over the world for justice.
Welcome to this part of the museum. In 2020, there were huge protests all over the globe due to George Floyd being killed by a police officer. He killed George Floyd because of the colour of his skin. The Black Lives Matter movement spread across the world in support of black people who have historically been mistreated due to their skin colour. Marches took place to raise awareness to the lack of equality that black people suffer. Here we saw people all of ages, race and gender stand together to fight prejudice. People use their social media platforms to reach out and educate others on the current and historic issues that black people have to face. Now in 2017, racism is non-existent in the world because in the 50 years since George Floyd's death, there has been a massive shift in education and awareness to combat racist views. Racist behaviour became classified as a mental illness in 2040, and those who were found to be suffering of extreme racism were sent to a rehabilitation centre where they underwent treatment for illness. Through this exhibition, we are reminded of how black people suffered and were treated badly because of their race.
Wasn't that wonderful? We will now go on to another exhibit about Black Lives Matter. We will now listen to monologues from the perspective of a girl witnessing racism towards her father and the experience of a 20-year-old mixed-race woman.
I remember when I was 7 and my dad came to visit me and my mum at the local market. I noticed everybody was really quiet and they were staring at us. I thought it was weird, but didn't think any of it. Later on that day, we were near an old lady that was struggling with her bags, and my dad is really nice, and so he offered to help her. Her reaction really confused me though. She looked really scared and looked at my mum and asked her, "What did he say?" I can understand her not hearing what he said because she's old, but I don't know why she looked scared. I asked my mum about it the other day, and she got upset and said something about the old lady being racist, and said that the old lady was scared of my dad because of the colour of his skin. I don't understand why she would be scared though. My dad wouldn't even hurt a fly. Maybe it's just because she was old and was just confused.
On nights out, I like to hang out with my friends and go to pubs. It's fun to be with my friends and not to be worried about my kids. However, sometimes the fun don't last that long because one of my friends or a stranger will say a racist slur. When people look at me, they can tell I'm mixed, even though it's not that obvious. People usually just treat it as a guessing game, but at night, people can't see as much that I'm slightly tanned. Normally, when they say a slur, I just mention that I'm mixed, and then we just awkwardly laugh it off. Sometimes, though, I'll get that thought as if, am I safe? Are they racist? Would they want to hurt me if they found out? Are they just saying it for a laugh? Yes, I can usually just laugh it off, but if they're drunk and they actually are racist, what's stopping them from doing something to me as a joke? I'm proud of my mixed ethnicity, and it's upsetting that sometimes I think I need to hide that part of me. That's if I want to make it back to my daughters when the night is done safe. I can't imagine how I'd feel in a situation like that if I was black, or maybe I'd just be used to it.
We will now listen to a song titled I Can't Breathe, which was some of George Floyd's final words.
Another day turns into night, another soul to watch the light and all those hearts so happy. Oh, I don't wanna pray no more, 'cause I don't even know what for, with all the steps so weary. We all got pretty used to this, closing our eyes in disbelief, but that won't make it any better. We sit in silence day by day, hoping it will just go away, pass until it doesn't matter. But I want us to change, I want us to say their names, think of it as a mistake or else I can't breathe. I want us to feel their pain, 'cause after all we're the same. I want us to care or else I can't breathe. Every day we feel tongue-tied, and other bodies getting tired of all the weight it carries. And I was raised to give my all, stand out tall in case you fall, but this is getting scary. 'Cause we all got pretty used to this, closing our eyes in disbelief, but that won't make it any better. We sit in silence day by day, hoping it will just go away, pass until it doesn't matter. But I want us to change, I want us to say their names, think of it as a mistake or else I can't breathe. I want you to feel their pain, 'cause after all we're the same. I want you to care or else I can't breathe. Or else I can't breathe.
How wonderful is it that today, in 2017, we've managed to eradicate all forms of discrimination, and that people no longer need to protest for human rights. Moving on to an exhibit about homelessness, with an account from a homeless person from 2020, followed by a poem.
In this section of the museum, we take a look at the homelessness crisis of 2020. We have collected interview footage from the time and hear a journalist give a report of how things changed for homeless people.
I'm feeling sad, a bit cold with no bedding to sleep in, and I'm very hungry, and I also don't have a regular place to stay.
When the coronavirus pandemic hit in 2020, it left homeless people very vulnerable. Communities around the UK came together to help these vulnerable people get off the streets in order to protect them from the COVID-19 virus. Disused office blocks were used to give these people shelter and help protect them from contracting the virus. These people, who would usually be living on the streets, were given food to ensure they wouldn't go hungry and had a chance of fighting the virus if they contracted it.
And I feel much happier than I did at the start of the coronavirus outbreak. Knowing I have a safe place to sleep every night fills me with joy. It's nice to have a warm bed, and I no longer spend days feeling hungry now, so that's good. Hot food, hot dogs, I want to eat it all. Hot porridge, hot drinks, I like to eat. Apples and oranges and cream pie, I like to eat lemon cake. New clothes, no holes in shoes. Warm bed, clean sheets. I miss my mum. Hot showers, my own room, playing with toys, bear hugs. I want to learn, I want some friends. I want my time on the streets to come to an end.
Isn't it wonderful that people in 2070 no longer need to sleep rough? The government is now flawless. There are no longer faults leading people to end up homeless. We'll never see homelessness again. The next exhibit is something today we will never think about. A song discussing issues with trains.
It is becoming a pain. Going to dance is now a dread, and I'm hanging on by a thread. People being left on the platform isn't fair, and everyone should get a chair. We're always packed in like sardines. This isn't the train of my dreams. 2 carriages makes me sad, and they make a lot of people mad. People want to use the train to get to work, while Northern Rail fill their pockets and smirk. I have seen people fight about a girl being squashed out of sight. He claimed it wasn't his fault. Stopped me getting off, but my plans to a halt. They had a fight in my way, while I waited on in dismay. Feels like the air might run out, stuffy like a sauna, hot like a drought. 2 carriages makes me sad, and they make a lot of people mad. People want to use the train to get to work, while Northern Rail fill their pockets and smirk. They think the bags are worth more than ours, and it always drives me nuts. They're like monuments to selfishness. They never move blind to their carelessness. 4 carriages is what we need, and it is what we plead. 2 carriages is not enough, and this journey's becoming real tough. 2 carriages makes me sad, and they make a lot of people mad. People want to use the train to get to work, while Northern Rail fill their pockets and smirk.
We will now go on to the topic about animal welfare. We will listen to that song now.
Live in the wild, we long to be free. If our habitats were under threat, we'd never be under lock and key. Born to live in the wild, we long to be free. If hunters didn't come for us, we could do as we please.
All the time dreaming, but in my daydreams I was screaming. Trapped in a cage, feeling blue, very bored with nothing to do. I wish I could escape, find a place of my own, break free from the children, find a new home. Got lost in my imagination, which saved me from boredom. People came with their diaries so they could record them. Through stories and books I discovered new friends. We played in our imaginary dance. We discovered new things, ways of communicating. Then came the night where we planned on escaping.
Live in the wild, we long to be free. If our habitats were under threat, we'd never be under lock and key. Born to live in the wild, we long to be free. If hunters didn't come for us, we could do as we please. Live in the wild, we long to be free. If our habitats were under threat, we'd never be under lock and key. Born to live in the wild, we long to be free. If hunters didn't come for us, we could do as we please.
Then came the night where I went escaping. I turned and thrashed and I was shaking. I wouldn't stay still, I bit and kicked. Unusually, I was kind and licked. They sent me away in a big van. I jumped up and we fell into a dam. Hit the water, we all got wet. They didn't get me out of the safety net. They couldn't set me free. It was the only way to save me.
I ran into
To a nearby forest. There I met a kangaroo called
as we please.
Isn't it wonderful that the government has done so much for conservation that animals' extinction rates have been reversed? Without the need for zoos, animals are now left to live their lives. What a year 2020 was. Isn't it wonderful that 2017 was so perfect, especially compared to 2020? Now, we move on to the bushfires in Australia. The record-breaking temperatures and a severe drought fueled massive bushfires all over Australia.
Smoke blows, billows in the breeze, over a million billabongs and trees, clouds of ash floating above the seas, a wallaby, wombat and cockatoo, koala, dingo and kangaroo, come and join our humans in our zoo. Australia's on fire, and the flame, they only burn higher, silencing nature's choir. Cities darker by the night, and day by day we're losing sight of things so dear we once held tight. So only nature we should blame, or have us humans fan the flame. Our land will never be the same. Australia's on fire. 7 million kilometres turn into pyre. 25 million lives becoming dire. Down under is dying. The winds are not complying. The barmaid looks down sighing. Send salvation from the sky. Once we loved in times come by. Will you cry for us? Will you cry, cry, cry? Australia's on fire, and the innocent ones are caught in the wire. The coming of rain is our one desire. The outback is peril, and the embers light up, and the stars up so bright. And we're living between the night, scared between the fire's fright. But we have no end in sight when Australia's on fire.
Isn't it wonderful that something like that would never happen today in 2070? We will now talk to a group of scientists talking about the climate crisis in 2020.
50 years ago, climate change was reaching uncharted territory. Temperatures were destroying the planet, and the year 2019 saw bushfires across the globe. And weather patterns that produced very heavy snows, storms and floods. David Attenborough, the legendary environmentalist, broadcast Blue Planet, which showed the suffering of animals in the oceans, coping with rubbish and pollution. Images of natural life in man-made plastics made everyone realise the impact of humans on the natural world. Unbelievably, we used to use plastic to make cotton buds, carrier bags, straws, baby wipes and nearly all food packaging. These were called single-use plastics, and responsibility for disposing them was a mystery.
Finally, in 2020, COVID-19 inspired the people. They saw action was possible and not impossible as they were told. Famous people took up the story and made it high profile. The government realised new laws were popular. They gave people tax breaks on zero carbon spending, doing things, learning things, and making things rather than buying new products.
Recycling. Premiership footballer Chris Stevenson famously raised money to fund research into recycling polystyrene. In 2020, technology companies operating on a planned obsolescence. Essentially, a piece of technology was designed to stop working after a while to make people buy a new one. This project was finally banned in 2050 after lengthy legal battles with governments, protesters, and giant companies. To compensate for these same companies, governments now funded incentives to people to keep their things like mobile phones as long as possible.
The developing countries in the global south, Africa, South America, Egypt and Israel. All these countries were getting hot and even hotter. Their water was being polluted and they felt global warming more than Europe, with the heat wave after heat wave. UNICEF collected funds from the internet campaigns to give resources to grow food and to have pollution when they take natural resources from the ground. Developing countries like Bulgaria and lots of factories, they needed help to clean up their chimneys and cut power consumption. If you had told someone in 2020 that so many solutions could be found, they would not have believed it. And here we are on a planet that is no longer warming to the dangerous levels predicted to humanity, and humanity is learning to live alongside nature's complex systems.
Isn't it wonderful that climate crisis is no longer a thing in 2017? Now moving on to the final exhibit, a news report on the devastating explosion in Lebanon. We thought 2020 couldn't get any worse, but it did. On the 4th of August 2020, there was a devastating explosion. It is believed the explosion occurred when tons of ammonium nitrate that were stored unsafely were ignited. It is unsure, though, what caused the ignition. We will now interview a doctor working first-hand. Hello, Dr. Eldon. Thank you for coming today. I understand that this explosion was very devastating, but can you tell me your initial reaction to the explosion? Did you know what was happening?
We thought that it was an earthquake at first because the explosion caused the whole of Lebanon to shake. When we heard of the massive bang, we realised that it must be an explosion.
Can you tell me the long-term effects of the explosion? Is this worse than the coronavirus cases?
Well, first the explosion happened in the biggest port in Lebanon. We only have 2 ports, which are smaller, and this has led to a massive interruption in food supplies. Not only this, but in the explosion we lost 17 containers of masks, gowns and gloves, which were crucial in fighting the pandemic. People have been left homeless, at least 300,000 I believe. I'm currently housing some of my family members who lost their homes. They're absolutely devastated. Lebanon was also in dire straits before the explosion. Many people were already jobless, so you can understand that this has made things a lot worse.
I expect that you've been treating many people who were injured in the result of the explosion. Do you know how many were injured, and has this now overwhelmed your hospital?
Statistics say it was around 5,000, statistics say it was around 5,000, but that is just a number. All of those people are actual people who now have to live with possibly lifelong injuries which will change their daily lives. I've been very busy treating people in hospital, and yes, our hospitals have been overwhelmed even more so since 4 hospitals were lost in the explosion.
Thank you, Dr. Alden, for speaking with us today. That's all for today's news. If you would like to donate to Lebanon, please don't hesitate to. Any donation could help save a life. Isn't it wonderful that an explosion like that can never happen today in 2070? Our world is now perfect. Thank you for coming on our tour. We hope you enjoyed.